Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be tackling something pretty mind-blowing, NBIC Convergence.
Ooh, that's a big one.
It is. It is. It might sound like something straight out of science fiction, but
Closer than you think.
it really is. And to guide us through this, we've got this pre-publication document called Converging Technologies for Improving Human Performance.
A lot packed in there.
Oh, tons. And what's amazing is like the range of experts who contributed to this thing.
It's a real who's who of the field. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And they're all painting this picture of a future where technology isn't just some separate thing, it's like...
It's woven into our lives.
Exactly. Seamlessly integrated.
And that's where this emphasis on a multidisciplinary approach really comes in. You can really tell the authors feel strongly that we need people who can bridge the gaps between these fields.
Right, because normally you think of nanotech, biotech, IT, cognitive science, like totally separate things, right?
Silos, yeah, totally.
But NBIC is all about like breaking down those silos.
Yeah, finding those connections.
Okay, so we've got these four like incredibly powerful fields: nano, bio, info, and cog sci. But how do they actually converge? Like, what's the glue that holds it all together?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. The magic happens at the nanoscale. That's where you're dealing with the fundamental building blocks of everything.
Right, like the tiniest level.
Exactly. And by manipulating things at that level, you get these ripple effects across all four fields.
So it's not just adding them together, it's like finding this synergy.
Yeah, exactly. Like 1 + 1 = 3 kind of thing.
I like that. And the report really dives into how NBIC aims to understand and manipulate complex systems, whether it's, the human body.
Or even society as a whole.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
And that's where we get into the whole human performance enhancement thing, right?
Absolutely. This document talks about all sorts of potential benefits: improving learning, enhancing our senses, revolutionizing healthcare, even communication between brains.
Whoa, hold on. Brain-to-brain communication. That sounds like something out of a movie.
It does, but the report suggests it could be a reality. Imagine sharing thoughts, emotions, even skills directly with another person.
No way. Like, no words, no gestures, just...
Pure thought. It could revolutionize fields like education, create deeper empathy. The possibilities are pretty mind-boggling.
Mind-boggling is right. But okay, let's back up a bit. How would these enhancements even work? There's this outside-inside framework, right?
Right. That helps categorize enhancements based on whether they're external, tools and devices.
Okay, so like prosthetics, wearables, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Or internal, meaning changes made directly to the human body.
So like modifying our biology.
Yeah, getting down to the cellular level. The report even talks about this concept of a learning pill. Imagine swallowing a pill and instantly absorbing knowledge.
Whoa. Okay, so hold on. Instant knowledge. That sounds, I don't know, wouldn't we lose something in the process? Like the whole struggle of learning, the satisfaction of figuring things out?
You're hitting on some of the ethical questions the report raises. They acknowledge that these advancements come with a whole host of philosophical dilemmas. Like, what does it mean to be human if we can modify ourselves so drastically?
Big questions, for sure. But the report isn't all about far-off futuristic stuff. They also talk about some more tangible advancements, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like the evolution of visual languages.
Visual languages.
Yeah, so think about how you can follow a complex plot in a TV show, even with minimal dialogue. It's about tapping into our brain's natural ability to process visual information.
So hacking the language of our own brains.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes you think about all the possibilities for communication and understanding complex information.
Totally. But it also makes you wonder about accessibility. All this sounds amazing, but does the report address how this could benefit people with disabilities?
It does. They talk about sensory substitution, using one sense to compensate for the loss of another.
Like someone with vision loss being able to see using touch?
Exactly. It's about understanding how the brain processes sensory information and finding ways to reroute it.
Whoa. That's incredible. Like rewiring the brain to experience the world in a whole new way.
It really is. They even explore the potential of intrasomatic biofeedback, using nanosensors to monitor and control internal processes at a molecular level.
Hold on. So managing chronic diseases, optimizing athletic performance, all with tiny sensors inside your body.
Potentially, yes. It's like having a tiny mechanic fine-tuning everything for peak performance.
Wow. Okay, so we've seen how NDIC can impact individuals, but what about the bigger picture? How would all this affect society as a whole? I mean, it's exciting to think about all these possibilities, enhancing our abilities, overcoming limitations, but
But it's a little unnerving too, right?
totally, like, where's the line? Are there downsides we haven't even considered?
You're spot on, and the report actually spends a good chunk of time talking about those potential downsides, the ethical and societal risks of NBIC. They don't sugarcoat it.
Okay, good. So what are some of the big concerns they highlight?
One that jumps out is the potential for widening social divides.
Yeah.
Like if these enhancements are expensive or only available to certain groups, it could make inequality even worse.
Yeah, that's a scary thought. A world where the rich get to enhance their brains and the rest of us are just stuck.
Yeah, it raises some really fundamental questions about what it means to be human, you know?
Totally. Like, if we can enhance our cognitive abilities so much, does it change our perception of ourselves, our values?
Big philosophical questions that NBIC brings to the forefront.
Yeah, it's almost like we're on the verge of, like, rewriting the human story, which is both exciting and kind of terrifying.
It is, it is. But let's not get too bogged down in the potential pitfalls. The report also highlights some incredible societal benefits.
Right, right. Like what?
Well, one that really caught my eye is this concept of the communicator.
The communicator. What is that? Some kind of like universal translator thing?
Kind of, but way more advanced. Think of it as an NBIC-powered system that breaks down communication barriers on every level.
Mm.
Language, disability, even differences in knowledge.
Whoa. So not just translating words, but bridging those gaps in understanding.
Exactly. Imagine a world where students can learn from the best teachers, no matter where they are. Where businesses can collaborate seamlessly across cultures, where diplomats can, negotiate with total transparency.
That sounds kind of utopian.
It does, it does. But the report also gets into some more practical applications of NDIC, things that could impact our everyday lives.
Okay, like what?
Well, they talk about the potential for self-healing materials.
So like clothes that repair themselves or a phone screen that fixes a crack?
Yeah, maybe down the line, but the report focuses more on larger scale applications, like aircraft that can repair themselves mid-flight, bridges that can withstand earthquakes, buildings that adapt to the environment.
Whoa, that's next level stuff.
Yep.
Imagine the impact on engineering and architecture.
Huge. And it highlights how NBIC can make the world a safer, more resilient place.
Definitely. So it's not just about improving our lives, it's about improving the world around us.
Absolutely. And they also talk about the potential of memetics, which is, the study of how ideas spread and evolve.
Memetics, I've heard that term thrown around. How does that tie into NBIC?
Well, the report suggests that memetics could help us understand and even shape the flow of information. Think about the spread of misinformation online or how cultural trends emerge.
Okay, so it's not just about changing the physical world, it's about understanding the world of ideas.
Exactly. And they also dedicate a whole sections to the role of NBIC in national security.
Makes sense. This tech could have a huge impact on warfare, on how we defend ourselves.
Yeah, they talk about enhancing soldier capabilities, developing counterterrorism strategies, but they also acknowledge the risk of an NBIC arms race and the need for international cooperation.
Right. It's like any powerful technology, there's the potential for good and bad.
Always a double-edged sword. And one of the things they really emphasize is the need for a radical transformation in education.
Okay, so more than just adding a few science classes here and there.
Oh yeah, much more. They argue that our current education system is just not equipped to prepare people for NBIC future. They call for a complete overhaul.
Whoa. So what would that look like?
They talk about creating new curricula and institutions that focus on interdisciplinary thinking, where students are encouraged to move fluidly between science, engineering, and the humanities.
So breaking down those silos, just like NDIC itself is about breaking down silos.
Exactly. And they introduced this interesting concept called nano niches.
Nano niches.
Yeah, it's like imagine these specialized areas of study that emerge at the intersection of different disciplines, letting students dive deep into something very specific while still having a broad understanding of the bigger picture.
Like Renaissance thinkers for the 21st century.
That's a great way to put it. And they also make this fascinating observation. They say it might be easier to train engineers to understand biology than vice versa.
Interesting. Why do you think that is?
It's a good question. And while they don't go into detail, it highlights the need for for collaborative education models.
Yeah.
Imagine engineers and biologists working side by side, learning from each other.
Yeah, creating a truly interdisciplinary learning environment. So we've talked about the individual impacts, the societal impacts, the ethical challenges. It's clear that NBIC is huge, it's complex, and it's moving fast. So where do we go from here? What are the next steps in making this vision of a better future a reality? It's kind of overwhelming, to be honest. Like, where do we even begin with something this massive?
You're right. It's a huge undertaking. And the report acknowledges that to really make this happen, it's going to take a coordinated effort from everyone. Governments, businesses, scientists, ethicists, even, everyday people.
So it's a collaborative thing, kind of like how they were talking about education needing to be more interdisciplinary.
Exactly. They really stress the importance of public-private partnerships, especially when it comes to funding. Like a lot of these NBIC advancements, they're going to require long-term investment, and they might not have immediate payoff,
Right, right. So it's kind of like I don't know, like the space race. Big upfront cost, but potentially huge rewards down the road.
That's a great analogy, but it's less about a race and more about global cooperation.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Like no single country can handle this alone, nor should they. The challenges and the benefits of NBIC, there's something we'll all share.
Makes sense. But even with funding and collaboration, there's still the ethics question, right? Like, how do we make sure this technology is used responsibly, that we don't end up creating more problems than we solve?
Absolutely, and the report talks about that a lot. They advocate for building ethical considerations into every step of the process, from the initial research all the way to how these technologies are actually used.
So it's not an afterthought, it's baked in from the start.
Right. They also talk about cultivating what they call a CT mentality.
CT mentality, what's that?
It's a way of thinking, a mindset that embraces converging technologies and their potential to transform, well, everything.
So it's not just about the tools themselves, it's about how we approach problems, how we think about solutions.
Yeah, seeing the world through an NBIC lens.
I like that. And there was one other thing they mentioned that I thought was interesting, the idea of trading zones.
Yeah, yes.
What were those again? Some kind of like marketplace for scientific ideas?
More like collaborative spaces where experts from different fields can come together, share knowledge, and build a shared vision. Imagine like physicists working with biologists, computer scientists, brainstorming with neuroscientists, breaking down those disciplinary barriers.
Yeah, that's really cool. So much of this comes back to collaboration, not just among scientists, but across like all of society.
Absolutely. And the report ends on this really interesting note. They talk about using nature as a model, as inspiration for NBIC advancements.
So like instead of seeing technology as separate from nature, we look to nature for guidance.
Exactly. Nature has already solved so many of the challenges that we're facing. And by studying how nature does things, we can get insights into building better, more sustainable technologies.
Wow, that's a really cool thought. Well, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from the tiny world of nanotechnology to these huge like global implications of NBIC.
It's a vast and fascinating field, that's for sure.
And it's moving so fast. It's exciting, but also, a little bit intimidating.
It is. But ultimately, the future of NBIC is up to us. It's something we'll create together through our choices and our actions.
That's a good point. So to all our listeners out there, we want to leave you with some questions to ponder. If NBIC could help you achieve any one thing, what would it be? What are you most excited about? What are your concerns? And what role do you see yourself playing in shaping this NBIC future?
Great questions. The conversation doesn't end here, folks. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and let's build this future together.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of NBIC Convergence. We hope you found it as mind-blowing as we did. Be sure to check out the show notes for more resources, and we'll see you next time.